Boy, this one is going to really test my ability to remember people's names. Hey everyone, it's me, Aaron.
Not Michelle.
And this is Thorgiween, where we're reviewing a horror film every single day, and it is Universal Monster Week is the penultimate day. We've gone through so many of the other monsters, so now it's time for them to finally start mean. We're not doing that again. So, yes, this, as many people know, the Universal Monsters was the first cinematic universe. It was the first shared universe across multiple different films, and this was the film where that finally started, where they actually started to meet each other. And it is so weird that many people out there consider this to be one of the worst Universal monster films. And what's even weirder is, I kind of like it. I came away from it positively, but I understand the problems that people have with it. I don't know. How do you feel about this film?
It's like Frankenstein did not do a lot in this movie.
There's gonna be a reason for that. I know about the backstory of this, and when people are like, this thing is a mess, when you learn about the backstory of it, you can't really argue that. So this thing was written by, this thing came out in 1943. The original Wolfman film came out in 1941, 10 years after the first Frankenstein film. Frankenstein continued to get multiple films up until this point, so he continued to get movies over and over again. He was really like their big go-to guy. However, Universal, I know they were like getting to that point where they're like, all right, we gotta start putting some butts in the seats. And I know that from like 1936 to, I want to say 1940, they didn't even make any monster films. It's something like that. It was like a 3-year gap. And the reason why is because the Higgs Code came in and was like, hey, you can't be putting scary stuff in your movies. We can't have violence, we can't have death, we can't have any of this stuff in here. So Universal was like, nope, we're not going to do that anymore. And then, but the movies still like theaters would still be like, well, we're going to re-show those old films, and they'd still have lines around the block. And Universal was like, we really need some money right now. You know, let's bring the monsters back. Let's bring all the monsters back. And you got Wolfman out there, which was good in 1941. And that was written by Kurt Siodmak, I believe his name was. And then in 1943, the story goes, Kurt Siodmak, and this is literally his exact words, he said, I wrote this because I wanted to buy a car, and I knew how I could afford that quick. Like, he had no passion for this. And from what I understand, the studio didn't come to him with the idea, like, he wanted to make money, so it was like, what film could make me money? Hey, Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, and he pitched that Universal, and they're like, sold. So
like, these are your two biggest franchises. Why not merge them together to get extra money?
Action figures, just bad. But yeah, like, right from the start, like, so many people these days are like, oh man, a lot of these Marvel films are just trying to, like, make money and just keep the things rolling and everything. It's like, man, look back at the very first cinematic universe. Literally the exact same complaints we have now about this cinematic universe. Like, there was no, like, I understand. Like I said, I do like this film. I will say that now. But when the writer himself was like, I had no passion for this. This was just a cash in for me. It's like, all right, yeah, this was just a paycheck. Okay, can't deny it when the writer himself says that. But this is also such a weird film because, and this is gonna be some stuff that I don't think you know. So we're gonna start off by giving you guys some backstory. This is all still in continuity with the first Wolfman film because there were no other Wolfman films. It goes straight from that one to this one. But it's also in continuity with all the Frankenstein movies because apparently they all, like, exist together. And here's where it gets really weird. Okay, so we know that, this, like I said, this is going to test my ability to remember names. Frankenstein was played by Boris Karloff, and Dracula was played by Bela Lugosi, and the Wolfman was played by Lon Chaney Jr. Now, remember those three names. So, Boris Karloff played Frankenstein in the first film, Bride of Frankenstein, and then in the third film, Son of Frankenstein. Son of Frankenstein is all about the son of Frankenstein returning back to his homeland, the land of his father, finding the Frankenstein monster there. But now the Frankenstein monster, who survived the explosion at the end of the last film, that's just what Frankie does. He just survives explosions. Every one of his films ends with something exploding around him, and he somehow survives it.
I got better.
Yeah. He never gets worse. He's just a machine. It's really, when you consider how much Frankenstein's monster survives, it's really impressive. Son of Frankenstein. Frankenstein's son goes back, meets the monster, but now, during all this time, apparently the monster was rescued after Bride of Frankenstein by this brand new character, Igor. Everybody thinks that Igor was the assistant in the first Frankenstein film. Nope, that character's name was Fritz. He was rescued by this guy named Igor. Igor was a grave robber, and he is just a piece of shit. Like, just all around, like, just disgusting, dirty, looks like he just, like, lives in a trash heap. He is also, like, cruel, mean. He enjoys seeing other people suffer. And he has been spending all this time making the monster go out there and kill people for him. Like, he's the monster's only friend, but he's only friends with him so that he can, like, get him to exact revenge for him against people he doesn't like. Like, Igor is one of the most evil monsters in the entire Universal Monster catalog. He also got hung for grave robbing and his neck snapped, but he survived it. So now, according to the law of this land, they can't prosecute him for anything again because he was legally declared dead once. So he's walking around the whole time with a neck like this. And he's got this really, like, grungy Hungarian voice. And he was played by Bela Lugosi. Dracula played him played Igor. So I don't remember how Son of Frankenstein ends. I'm going to assume something blew up again. But that Son of Frankenstein left. Cut to the next film, Ghost of Frankenstein. In that film, Boris Karloff is now out. Boris Karloff is like, I'm 50 years old. It hurts getting all that makeup on. I'm not doing it anymore. Also, the monster no longer talked in Son of Frankenstein. And from what I've heard, that's because Boris Karloff didn't like doing the voice. He didn't like talking as Frankenstein.
I'd imagine like it'd be very rough on his throat.
It probably was. But yeah, so he didn't talk in that film. Now we cut to Ghost of Frankenstein. Boris Karloff is now out. Lon Chaney Jr., the Wolfman, is playing Frankenstein. And again, remember, Bela Lugosi is still playing Igor. Igor returns for this one, still played by Bela Lugosi. The plot of Ghost of Frankenstein is that another son of Frankenstein, not the one from the previous film, a different one who apparently has no knowledge of the other son of Frankenstein, which implies
they were separated at birth.
Or it implies that Dr. Frankenstein was just going out there and just like cheating on his wife constantly.
Maybe.
You know what? I can believe it.
Yeah.
So and also this son is much older than the son in the previous film was. Like, that's, the son in the previous film had a young boy. This one has a daughter who is a grown woman.
So it's not really the son, it's the daughter of Frankenstein.
No, we're still following the son.
Oh.
I'm just letting you know, like, how old he is. Like, he's got gray hair, he's got a full-grown daughter, like, yeah, like...
Oh, okay.
Which to me implies Dr. Frankenstein had to have had this kid before meeting his fiance. So maybe he wasn't cheating on her. Maybe this was from, like, a previous marriage that we never talked about.
Or maybe, like, a one-time fling.
Maybe a one-time fling, something like that. But anyway, I'm just setting the scene now. That son now returns to the castle, and he sees the actual ghost of his father telling him he must work with the monster and must give it the right brain. So he's trying to figure out, okay, what do I do with this monster? And then Igor convinces him to put his brain in the monster. So he's like, all right, fine. So he puts Igor's brain in the monster because Igor convinced him he's actually a good guy. Then Igor gets up and is like, aha, yes, I am the monster now, and I was actually evil. I, Igor, will live forever. And he's like fucking with all the cops. Like, he's now being malicious. Like, the monster is now like malicious and thinking and like attacking people, like using his brain now to actually think out stuff. But then it gets revealed Igor didn't have the same blood type as the monster. And because of that, the body is rejecting the brain and it makes the monster go blind. So you know how the monster, when everything in Frankenstein, you're thinking with the arms out? That's from Ghost of Frankenstein because he can't see and he's trying to feel around. So now you have Lon Chaney Jr.'s Frankenstein with the voice of Bela Lugosi coming out of him. So then at the end of it, he's coming around going, oh, what good is a body if I can't see? And then the tower gets destroyed all around him as it normally does. Now we go to this film. Then we go into the Wolfman. Lon Chaney Jr. is playing the Wolfman. We all know what happens with the Wolfman. At the end of the Wolfman, he dies. Now we finally get to this film. Yes. That's a lot of backstory, but as I said, it's all in continuity. All the stuff from the previous films comes back in this one. So, Lon Chaney Jr., he dies at the end of The Wolfman. This cuts to grave robbers going into the tomb of Lon Chaney Jr. because his family was wealthy, so they afforded a tomb for him. And they open it up and find Wolfsbane in there. And they remove the Wolfsbane, and now with his coffin open, the moon comes in and shines on him, and that causes him to wake up. Because apparently even a silver bullet doesn't actually kill the Wolfman. So he comes back to life and he attacks these guys. And from here on out, it's basically the Wolfman 2. It's, like I said, this was written by the guy who wrote the Wolfman. So he is the central focus of this film. And he goes around, he finds the old Romani lady, which this was made in 1943. They did not say Romani, but yeah, that's what, yeah, we all know what they said. We know we're not supposed to say that now. But they find her, and it's the exact same actress who played her in the previous one. She came back for this, and she says, listen, I'm going to try and help you now. There's somebody I've heard of who might be able to help. And so then they go on a big road trip and they travel off to this faraway land and they get there and they start asking about Dr. Frankenstein. And I know that it's just me, but I am a sucker for this. I got a little of that feeling I got when I saw like the first Avengers film and I was like, oh, it's that actor talking about the thing that guy did. Like, it kind of feels good when you follow two separate things and then you like,
see them come together.
And like, but not as in like, oh yes, universes collide. Now I'm meeting you, person from another place.
No,
like naturally.
Yeah, like how they blend. I think blending together is
blending is a good way of putting it. Yes, when you see Larry Talbot, the Wolfman, actually say Dr. Frankenstein. And it feels like, yeah, I believe that. It kind of feels good to me. I like when I see stuff like that. So, yeah, I will fully admit, I do like this film. And I think part of it is because, yeah, when you see them crossing over, it actually kind of works for me. I kind of like it. But they say, no, he died. He's not around anymore. He's been a curse to this land. You see that castle over there? That's where he was, and it was destroyed by his monster. Although I will say, for the people out there, I know I've been saying it's in continuity this whole time. I know people are going to say, that's not the castle from Ghost of Frankenstein. Why is that over there now? It's like, yeah, that's one part where they were like, listen, screw it. He needs to be in the castle. It's going to happen.
It's like, that castle is gone. He moved to another castle.
Yeah.
Like, your monster's in a different castle.
Yeah, just go along with it. Just go with it. Don't ask questions. Just go. Like, Frankenstein has to be in a castle. We're going to do it. Yeah, I know that's one of the big, like, sticking points that people have with this is that it's like, but that's not the place from Ghost of Frankenstein. They didn't do that there. It's like, I know, but they had to. Also, as many people point out, home videos didn't exist at this time. If you did not remember the movie that came out 2 years before then, there's a good chance you were walked in this is like, was that what it was? All right, maybe it was. I don't know. Who am I to guess? Also, they keep talking, like it actually took me a while to realize whenever the villagers are talking about Dr. Frankenstein, they're talking about his son from the previous film because there eventually does come a moment in which they mention him and his father. And I was like, oh, yeah, right. Oh, shit, I totally forgot. Okay, yeah, all right. So, yeah, that is kind of weird that, again, they did not want this to be Wolfman meets the son of Frankenstein from Ghost of Frankenstein. They wanted to feel like Wolfman meets Frankenstein, so they treat the son from the previous film like he was Frankenstein. Like, that's how everyone's talking about him. You just kind of have to know, nah, they're talking about his kid. But then there comes a moment in which Larry Talbot thinks, well, maybe he left a journal somewhere. Maybe he left a journal somewhere that will give me the secret to life and death. Because Larry Talbot is not looking for a cure in this film. He's looking for a way to die. And that's one of the other reasons why I like this film, is that it does feel like the Wolfman 2. Like, get the meets Frankenstein out of your mind. Just think of this as Wolfman 2, and think about, like, how tormented Larry was in the first film. Think about what it must be like to then discover, oh, you're also immortal, and you're going to keep turning into a monster and killing people forever and forever and ever and ever and ever. I was fighting that down for the longest time. Yeah, seeing him, like, actually panicking at the idea of there is no escape from this. It was like, oh, goddamn, man, like, you feel for him. Like, there is a moment in which he gets taken to a wine festival by Elsa Frankenstein, the daughter of the son from the previous one. That's why I wanted to make sure to mention, like, this Frankenstein had a full-grown daughter. It's because that's her. However, speaking of actors getting shuffled all around, the actress who played her in Ghost of Frankenstein is not the actress in this film. And the reason why is the actress who played her in Ghost of Frankenstein also played Larry Talbot's girlfriend in The Wolfman. So that would be very weird for them to meet up here and act like they don't know each other. So I was like, okay, yeah, I understand.
This is like musical Cheers, but with actors.
It so is. It's just the shell game, just moving them all around. In fact, one of them, he even meets a doctor, and the doctor is like, is following Larry. Because Larry is telling him, like, I'm a murderer, I killed these people. He's like, no, that was an animal. You did not do that. And then he just escapes in the night. Which, man, there's a moment here that actually took me by surprise when he's freaking out at the hospital of, no, you have to arrest me, you have to take me away. I killed someone, I'm an animal. Then the 3 big dudes in white shirts that existed at all hospitals at this time in case someone had a freak out. Because apparently just every hospital had those 3 big dudes ready to beat people up.
And put them in a straitjacket.
Yeah. They come walking in, and man, he actually like flips one of them. I was like, oh damn, for 1943, that's a good stunt. But this doctor is chasing him down. That doctor is also in the first Wolfman film. Not the actor, I mean. Not the character. But the actor is. I don't remember who he played. But he was also in there too. So I was like, oh, goddamn. In fact, Dwight Frye, who played Renfield and Fritz in Frankenstein, he has a very small cameo in here. And I don't think it was a cameo. It was like, hey, it's that guy. I think it's just like, hey, man, all hands on deck. Is there an actor available? Get him in here. Because that's just how it was back then. Sadly, I think this was even like Dwight Frye's last role. He died of a heart attack in 1944.
Oh,
so, like, yeah. I'm just a beacon of information on this one, aren't I? I knew I would need to remember a lot of names on this one, so I did research. But yeah, there's like a moment in which he meets up with Elsa Frankenstein. And we've mentioned before how the women in these films are just there to be trophies and objects and do nothing. I like that she seems to have like some authority. At the end of this, she is also just a thing to be rescued. But up until it's like, all right, you're better than most of the female characters in these films. I'll give you that. But she takes him to a wine festival, and there's a guy singing about living forever. And God, poor Larry. Oh man, the amount of torture he has at that moment. It felt so bad for that guy. But we should get to the actual like meets Frankenstein part. There's a moment which he goes to the castle and he finds the monster frozen in a block of ice, which again is not how he died in the previous one, but it's one of those things where it's like, dude, years have passed at this point. He could have like he died in fire as he always dies, but he could have like fallen down into like a pit of water or something.
Yeah, or like maybe whatever.
It's also, as we will see in later films, they love to have the monster just be found in blocks of ice, which might have been a reference to the actual novel, because I think that's what happens at the end of that one. I know that he goes to the Antarctic, so I think it might be a reference to that. But he finds him in there, frees him, and this is when it gets so, like, man, it makes me hate that at this point in time, they just destroyed film. They're just like, fuck it. There's never going to be a DVD where people want deleted scenes.
No one wants physical media.
There wasn't physical media back then. Physical media was the film reel. That's what it was. But I bring that up because he frees Frankenstein's monster, and Frankenstein's monster doesn't say a freaking word throughout this. And he still walks around like, just feeling everything. And with his eyes closed the whole time, not saying anything. Apparently, in the original version of this film, he did talk. And he was still Igor. And it was Bela Lugosi doing his Igor voice coming out of his body, because I don't know if I mentioned this yet, but Bela Lugosi plays Frankenstein in this one. So, holy cow, he's just moving all over the place. But Bela Lugosi is, and which I will also say, no offense to Bela Lugosi, because he's great as Igor and he's great as Dracula, he looks bad as Frankenstein. Like, this is the worst looking Frankenstein, in my opinion. He's got Bela Lugosi's, like, mush face of, like, it looks like Bela Lugosi just squinting his face the whole time. It's like, it doesn't feel right, man. But apparently in the original version, Bela Lugosi as Frankenstein, speaking as Igor, did talk throughout the whole thing, and he did explain, I'm blind, I can't see, I'll help you if you help me, like all that. And they showed those dailies to the producers, and the producers laughed at hearing Bela Lugosi's voice come out of the Frankenstein monster. So they went back and re-edited the film to cut out all of Bela Lugosi's lines. And I'm like, dude, I don't care how much the producers laughed. It takes away so much from this film, because now you just have a film where Larry Talbot meets Frankenstein and it's just instantly like, you can help me find all the notes. All right, where are they, boy? Over here? And he's still doing the blind walk the entire time.
The thing is, like, I did not know about the blind thing.
Yeah.
So I thought he was basically still frozen, like, because, like, you know, he was in a block of ice, so, like, he hasn't, like, fully thawed, so that is why I thought he was, like, stiff and couldn't talk. I thought it's because he was still recovering from the...
Okay, I can see that. All right, yeah, all right, because that is an important thing to wonder, is like, okay, well, how do the people who don't know the backstory on this think about this? Okay, so there's some reasons, but still, like, Larry's now just knowing a lot of stuff. And it's like, yeah, you can tell there was somebody originally in the script who told him things. But then after that, they eventually find, like, the secret to life and death. They find Frankenstein's journal. Elsa shows him where it is. And the doctor, who has been following them this entire time, he starts getting fascinated by Larry's transformation. But then he gets real fascinated the moment that he sees the Frankenstein monster. Like, the moment this doctor sees the Frankenstein monster, he's like, oh, hello, thing that defies the laws of physics. Oh, well, aren't you a tall drink of water? Like, he is so enamored by the Frankenstein monster. And you can see this dude just getting corrupted as the film goes on. Like, as the movie goes along, he's like, yeah, Larry, I'll help you. So you're a monster, huh? It's just...
This feels a lot like The Bride of Frankenstein.
Kind of.
Like this random doctor who's obsessed with, like, Frankenstein's monster and just...
I just thought of a better version of this movie where he knows all about Dr. Frankenstein. What if the doctor he doesn't know about was Dr. Pretorius from Bride of Frankenstein? And then it's revealed he's somehow survived all of this. And he's the one who's like, oh my, you turn into a wolf at night, you say. isn't that just fascinating? Well, yes, I'll cure you. That would have been so much more interesting. But yeah, this doctor, the moment he sees Frankenstein, he just like, he's one of the nicest, most like, I will go out of my way to help my patient, and I will stand by him no matter what. I'm sorry, you're a walking zombie? Oh, like he just slowly starts deteriorating and starts getting more invested in the idea of like working with Frankenstein, and he starts reading all of Dr. Frankenstein's notes. And like I said, in the previous Frankenstein film before this was Ghost of Frankenstein, which was literal. There was an actual ghost of Dr. Frankenstein trying to convince his son to continue his work. And I keep thinking, was there a version of this script where this doctor gets possessed by the ghost of Frankenstein? I have been wondering that this entire time after watching this movie. I'm like, man, it feels like he changes so much. It's almost making me wonder, was that a plot point at one point?
I mean, like, because I didn't know about the ghost or anything, I thought it was just like something that like affects like scientists every time they see Frankenstein, the monster. It's
so weird to me that the ghost in Ghost of Frankenstein is literal, is an actual ghost. Whereas in here, this feels like a better Ghost of Frankenstein, because it is almost like, listen, man, there's just like curse around everything revolving around Frankenstein.
Yeah.
And it just draws people in and makes them mesmerized. I find that fascinating. Like I said, I know people don't like this movie and they think it sucks. There are things I find interesting in it, and that's one of them. I actually think it is very fascinating. Watching this doctor slowly go from this very helpful, nice guy to being just so obsessed with Frankenstein's monster. And I can definitely say that after the film that we're going to talk about tomorrow, because they do something very similar and it's not nearly as good in my opinion. But yeah, I enjoy that. But he starts going, okay, I have discovered that we can kill you, Larry. Through these notes, it says that we can just remove all the energy from your body and then you'll just die. And for some reason, he also decides to hook up Frankenstein's monster. It's not explained why he also needed Frankenstein's monster also hooked up to this machine, but he had Larry hooked up to it to drain him. And as he's draining him, which by the way, I have not seen Ghost of Frankenstein. I've just watched people do like video essays on it and stuff. But I was watching this going, oh shoot, I think that's the actual like same equipment from Ghost of Frankenstein that he used on Frankenstein. All right, that's kind of interesting. Again, the little bits that they do carry over from one film to another, I really enjoyed. But this is the part where it ticks me off so much that they cut out all of Bela Lugosi's lines. Because as he is watching, Elsa leaves the room. So it's just the doctor here with Larry draining all the energy out of him. And then he's looking at him like, no, this is wrong. I can't do it. Like, he can't fight these urges anymore. And he says, this creature must live. I must like protect this unique thing. And he removes the little electrical clamps from Larry and hooks them up to Frankenstein. And he says, I have to return Frankenstein to his full power. And he starts charging him back up. Elsa comes in and goes, what the hell are you doing? And then it cuts to a shot of Frankenstein, and now his eyes finally open up, and he turns and he gets this big evil grin on his face. I'm like, God damn it, this is what makes me so mad that they cut all Bela Lugosi's lines, because imagine if you knew about Igor, you knew they put an evil guy's brain in Frankenstein in the last film, and then in this film, he explained like, yes, my name is Igor. Yes, I had my brain put in this body. And we, the audience, knew that's the same guy. That's the evil guy from the previous one. Nobody believe him. Don't you believe him? We know he's a bad guy and he tricks people into believing him. Nobody believe him. He's going to do not give him full power. And then it gets to that moment in which you see his eyes finally open up and he gets that big evil smile on his face that he gives. Not knowing anything about this, you're just like, why the hell is Frankenstein giving that big evil smile?
I just assume like all the power has turned him evil or something.
Something like that.
Yeah, it's like.
But now that you know, Igor is in there. The bad guy from the previous film is now at full power. now seeing him get that big grin on his face, like, goddamn, that would have been like the big like stand-up cheer moment, like, oh shit, like moment at this film. But they cut all Bela Lugosi's lines. But even without that, if you know that the previous film is still canon, it's really cool seeing that moment. It's really cool going, oh crap, it's Igor. Igor's at full power now. That's kind of awesome. And then the moon comes up, Larry turns into the Wolfman, and the two of them have their big fight. I've heard people say this fight sucks, and in my mind, I'm just like, this is a 1943 monster film. What were you expecting? Granted, from what I have heard, apparently the stuntmen were given like no instructions. Apparently the stuntmen were just like, I don't know, man, we're on a budget, we're almost out of time, just get in there and tussle.
This is why it's important to have a fight choreographer.
Which, I mean, it's 1943. I don't
even know if choreographers were a thing yet.
Back then, like, this is one of the reasons why I give this some credit is because think about the time this came out. Fight scenes in 1943 were, bam, like my hand that far from your head. And we know that because we saw it in Creature from the Black Lagoon a couple days ago. Yeah, fight scenes did not get mapped out back in those days. So them telling the stuntmen just go at, like, yeah, it's probably what they did back in those days. A choreographer, like the director was the choreographer back in those days because you didn't have to direct much in those days. I mean, you didn't have to choreograph much in those days because the fight scenes were all like one punch each. And watching this, like, it's kind of impressive seeing something from 1943 where guys are just going at like this. Like, it's only in here for like 3 minutes, but that's more than you get in most of these films in terms of action. I kind of dug it. I'm not going to say it's great or anything. I mean, there's a couple scenes in there where it's just like, Wolfman, stand on something, climb on that thing, cool, there we go. But I still liked it. I think it was pretty cool. And then the movie just ends.
No, it's like, the thing is...
Oh, yeah, there's a whole side character we haven't talked about yet.
Yeah, like, basically, like, the village that was by the castle is like, oh, that castle is cursed. We need to get rid of the monster and everything. It's like, we should just blow up the dam that's by the castle and it'll flood it all out. But then one of the guys is like, but that'll flood our town. That'll never work. So that's the reason why they didn't do it at first, but then some drunk bastard decided to blow it up anyhow.
There's been a guy, he's like the innkeeper, and this guy the entire time has been like, we have to blow up that building, we gotta blow up the dam so we can take out the building, gotta blow it up.
Yeah, but the mayor's like, no, that'll endanger our town.
Which, by the way, another musical chair moment here, I think it was Son of Frankenstein, the guy who played the mayor played the police constable who didn't trust the son and was like, your family brings trouble here and everything. And in my mind, I'm just like, God damn, why didn't you just if you got the actor there, just bring the police constable back? That's one of those things I was like, man, you're missing prime opportunity here. But yeah, the mayor's just like, no, you idiot, you're drunk again. You're not going to blow up the dam, you stupid idiot. You're going to destroy the town. He gets drunk, he goes out there, he blows up the dam washes away the entire castle.
And then it just cuts to the end. You don't even see the town get flooded. It's like, okay.
Yeah. It's like, so did the town get flooded? What happened to Elsa and the doctor? Like, did the doctor die? I don't remember.
I don't know. I assume, like, he and Elsa escaped. Yeah, I think...
Elsa gets picked up at a moment and shrieks because she's a woman in a 1940s monster film. But then she gets tossed to the ground. Like, she falls face first on the ground from, like, chest height on the monster. Like, God damn. Please tell me that was a stunt person. But yeah, I think there's like a shot of the two of them running off. And I'm just like, so did they survive? What happened? The film just ends. And that has been a thing that we have talked about so much with these Universal monster films. They just end. Mm-hmm. They're like, bye everybody. Enjoy your drive home.
But like now
no resolution. But this is the most abrupt ending.
Yeah, you mentioned like how much of this has been cut. And I'm wondering like, how much of the ending has been cut.
I'm curious, like, if it weren't for the fact that so many of these other films follow a similar pattern, I'd say they had to have cut something. But I don't know. I think when they made these films, they're like, no, there's no resolution. There's climax and end. That's it. That's how the movie happens. That's how you make a film. You get to the high point, the end. Which if there's any film that needed resolution, it's the one where they keep telling people, if you do this, you'll drown the town. So we don't know if that happened. It is a real shame how this thing ends.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even gonna come in here and be like, we didn't even find out who won the fight between Wolfman and Frankenstein. Like, listen, man, it's just called Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. We're just here to see them meet. And that happened. We were promised a fight. We got the fight. I did not need to see who won this thing. But God, you could have at least shown us like Elsa or somebody like at the end with like some kind of a last final line to give on this. Like, I keep thinking about the fact that Elsa is like the last surviving member of the Frankenstein family. Well, of this particular line, the Frankenstein family. There's that other son who had his own kid, and he's never brought up in this at all. But I'm like, man, she ran into her grandfather's monster. Does she have anything to say about this? Does the doctor feel any remorse about what happened? I have many questions, and this film just wants you to leave. It's one of those things where it's like, we've mentioned this. Normally we have a spoiler section for our reviews. We haven't really been doing that for the Universal Monsters because they just end. They're just like, get the hell out. Bye. It's so weird. What? I got nothing to say about that ending because there's nothing to say. But as for the rest of the film, I really like Larry. Like I said, this was written by the same guy who did The Wolfman. And if you don't think of this as, I need to see these two titanic figures come and clash against each other, if you go into this thing of this as Wolfman 2, and part of Wolfman 2 is a further exploration that bleeds into the rest of the Universal Monster films, I think you'll have a way better time with this. What?
I was just thinking like Wolfman 2 featuring Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I mean, think of it like that. Think of it like, we mentioned like, it's like the MCU because it's a shared cinematic universe. I'm trying to think of like the film in the MCU that is a good like way of framing this. In my mind, I'm like, okay, not like Civil War, because Civil War was more even with everybody in there.
Is it Iron Man 3 or 2 or no?
No, those both mainly focused on Iron Man. Those didn't have anybody else in there. I'm trying to think. Maybe no, because Spider-Man 2 was a lot about Iron Man's death, but Iron Man's dead in that. Actually, in a weird way, it's kind of like Spider-Man 1 with how often Iron Man pops up in there. It's like it's kind of like that. Yeah, sort of. Again, I do like this film, but I like it as a Wolfman sequel that has him join the rest of the Universal Monsters. Trying to think of anything else I really want to say about like, because it's one of those ones where it's kind of, again, with the Universal films, it's a lot of the plot. The plot is the main focus of it. Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot else to say about this film. I kind of said my piece. Anything you want to say?
No, there's not much else to say, really.
Yeah, what did you think of, because I kind of gave my opinion on the fight there at the end, on like the final confrontation. You gave your opinion on the Doctor and like on your opinions on Frankenstein and everything, but like, how do you feel about like Larry? How do you feel about like everything that they did in there? Oh man, I totally forgot. Sorry, we also didn't mention the Romani lady. Yeah. She got arrested in a completely separate town, and then they brought her to this town. I don't know, that's just a small thing that I just kind of like...
Maybe it's the town that's across the dam.
Yeah. Everybody's gonna have to move there after this. Yeah, what do you think about the final confrontation between these two?
I kind of wish, like, the fight had an actual ending instead of just... the flood washing them away. I'm thinking kind of like Freddy versus Jason. Yeah.
And how like that one actually does have an ending to it. And it still has like it has a literal wink to the camera. But this one, I really want to watch Freddy vs. Jason after this. But yeah, this one, it really is just the two of them are fighting and then they get interrupted by the flood.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no, like
no resolution.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, we don't see, like, them getting washed away, but I was like, yeah, you couldn't have done that.
Yeah.
It's 1943. You could not have done that.
I mean, I guess they could have, like, thrown, like, two dummies in the water or something like that. Or...
Maybe. I mean, that is an impressive miniature. I'll give them that. That was an impressive miniature that they used there at the end. Also, I will say, speaking of the effects in this, they once again used the same effects that they used in the Wolfman of the, like, cross dissolve.
Yeah.
Where they slowly, like, Lon Chaney Jr. just had to sit there frozen as they came in there and applied makeup to him. I think it's even better in this one than it is in Wolfman, because in Wolfman, I always remember you could see him moving a little bit in there.
Yeah, he's probably gotten used to it by now.
He is frozen in place when they're putting that makeup on. I was like, that is a real good job they did on this. But yeah, it's very interesting to think we've talked about how this is the first, like, cinematic universe, but you gotta think, like, this is the first crossover movie. This is the first movie where, like, two characters from existing films came and mashed up with each other. And I find that to be interesting, because I say that so often in these reviews.
Fascinating, yeah.
It's the same thing, but no, like...
Just bring it to the source.
But no, I find that to be an important part of the history of this film that a lot of people probably don't take into account all that much. But it is wild to think that this film was revolutionary in that way. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because that means there's no playbook for this. There's no, like, okay, we know how to do a crossover. We know how to have these characters interact with each other. Nobody had done it before, so you do have to give the film some credit, because, like I mentioned, I do enjoy seeing Larry Talbot just talking about Dr. Frankenstein in a way that feels natural to exist within the world that he's in. And you have to think, that had never been done before. There was nothing that they could point to and go, this is how that happens. Granted, there were books that happened in, there were definitely, like, other pieces of literature where famous literary characters interacted with each other. But
to do it in a film.
Yeah, that had never been done. So there was no playbook. And I think that is something that this film doesn't get enough credit for. But that being said, that ending is kind of lame.
Yeah.
And it is a shame that they had to cut not Boris Karloff, Bela Lugosi's lines. Man, I got real long in here without swapping anybody's names around. But it is a shame to me that they cut Bela Lugosi's lines. I would love to have seen the original version of this. And it still to this day drives me nuts that back in these days, they're like, this will never be seen again. It is totally okay for us to destroy any footage. Yeah, like, that's some fascinating lost media out there, like the true cut of this version of this film. But aside from that, I think people are too harsh on this film. I actually really do enjoy this as Wolfman 2. But yeah, anything else that you want to say?
Well, I don't know if I can judge this as a sequel since I haven't seen the first Wolfman.
Oh! I could have sworn you had! That's why we didn't watch the first Wolfman!
You watched it. I remember you watching it, but I didn't watch it with you.
I've watched it like 4 times. I could have sworn that you joined me when I watched that last time.
No, but it's like, I understand, like, the premise and everything. Yes. I mean, it's, once again, like, a lot of Universal monster movies, you understand what's going on.
You know what these
You know what it's
are.
about. So.
It's bled into the human consciousness so much that, yeah, of course you know them. Man, that's why we weren't going to watch Wolfman this week, is I was like, we've all seen Wolfman. Let's go ahead and do Wolfman meets Frankenstein. I was like, oops, my bad. Well, then. And I know werewolves are one of your favorite monsters out there. Yeah. Oh, man, I should have done that then. My bad. Well, next Thorgiween, because we've already watched the other film that we're doing for the final day of Universal Monsters. So anyway, what were you going to say?
What was I going to say?
Yeah, sorry, I interrupted you when I didn't know what that, yeah, you said, since you had not seen the original Wolfman.
I can't really judge this as a sequel.
I see, okay. Well, then, judging it as its own thing, how did it feel to you?
I enjoyed, Talbot's character, I did not feel like Frankenstein got enough, the monster didn't get enough screen time, especially since...
Which we know the reason why now.
Yes, yeah, now that I know, it's like, okay, well, that's... But...
That sucks.
I guess what I want to say is, like, this movie kind of falls flat from the expectations. You know, like, Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. You expect, like, some, like, sort of big confrontation or something like that, or like a lot of moments with them interacting on screen and everything. It's like, no, not really. They don't even like conclude the final battle between the two. So it's...
I get that. Like I said, I'm glad that you're putting out there the complaints that a lot of other people do have, because we should acknowledge, like, this film is not well regarded. Like, most people think this movie stinks. And like I said, even the guy who wrote it is like, this is a paycheck. I do not care. But yeah, I think the film gets a bad rap. But again, maybe that's just because I like Larry Talbot.
No, it's like, Larry Talbot is a great character.
He is. And that's something that's important to point out. He's one of the only Universal monsters that is really sympathetic. Like, the closest one after that is Frankenstein. Because, you know, like, Frankenstein didn't ask for any of this. He just gets used by other people. But he is still a walking corpse.
Yeah.
Larry has a curse. Yeah. And he is he's an actual good guy. Like, in the werewolf film, he gets cursed because he's saving someone else. Like, he is not a bad dude. Like, he didn't get the curse because of, like, his own hubris or anything. No, like, he is a truly tormented, sad character.
Yeah.
And yeah, Lon Chaney Jr. really, like, it's his acting that really makes me like this film a whole lot. Like I said, that moment in which he is freaking out at the wine fest is like, you feel for that poor guy. Anything else that you want to add?
That's pretty much it.
All right, come back tomorrow for the finale to Universal Monster Week here on Thorgiween. Gonna kick myself for not watching Wolfman. That was some poor playing on my part.
I guess maybe I should have mentioned that I haven't seen it.
I could have sworn you had. I would have, I should have asked, but I was just so certain. But all right, next year. So, join us tomorrow for the finale. We will be watching what many people consider to be the actual finale to the Universal Monsters, House of Dracula. It does not go out well. Bye, everybody.
Bye.